On the morning of August 14, 2025, you are awakened by a deep and urgent sound of rushing water, the noise of waves slamming against your house carried in with the dampness of the air. Looking out the window, the streets you know so well have turned into rushing rivers, and the familiar outlines of buildings gradually disappear beneath the murky, rolling waves. This is not a scene from a movie, but the real situation unfolding in Hubei province, in central China, a land shaped by the winding course of the Yangtze River and its tributaries. Here, flooding is never just an occasional inconvenience. It is a force powerful enough to completely change the rhythm of life and reshape the landscape. It is also a severe test of the endurance and unity of the community. Hubei's natural landscape is composed of crisscrossing rivers, numerous lakes scattered like stars, and fertile plains, which is why it is known as the province of 1,000 lakes. These waterways have long provided abundant resources for agriculture, transportation, and industry. However, when continuous heavy rainfall causes water levels to surge, these rivers and lakes that once gave life can, in turn, threaten it. Low-lying towns and densely populated riverbanks are particularly vulnerable in the face of flooding. As urban expansion accelerates and climate change brings greater uncertainty, the occurrence of floods has become increasingly difficult to predict, sometimes overwhelming already strained emergency systems. When floods arrive, they often strike with little to no warning, forcing people to abandon their homes and cherished belongings in haste. Streets are swallowed by raging waters, electricity and communication lines are cut off, schools are closed, markets shut down, and hospitals operate under extreme pressure. For the elderly, children, and ordinary families, this is not only a physical threat but also a tremendous psychological blow. Yet, even in times of crisis, there is always a glimmer of hope. The communities of Hubei have shown remarkable resilience. Neighbors help each other evacuate the elderly and children, volunteers brave the rain to deliver food and drinking water, and local organizations quickly establish coordination networks to provide as much support and shelter as possible for those affected. Even in cities covered with steel and concrete, the power of floodwaters cannot be underestimated. Hard surfaces and high-rise buildings can sometimes accelerate the pooling of water rather than channel it away. Once drainage systems become overloaded, urban flooding can spread rapidly, trapping residents and vehicles. Subway stations, underpasses, and underground parking garages can be inundated within a short time, creating dangerous situations that require immediate evacuation. While urban development has indeed driven economic growth, in some cases the pace of infrastructure upgrades has failed to keep up with the speed of urban expansion, exposing potential weak points when faced with rising floodwaters. Hubei's plains have long been known for producing rice, wheat, and aquatic products, but floods can inflict heavy losses on these industries. Once crops are submerged for an extended period, soil fertility declines, and the losses farmers face go beyond just one season. Livestock may perish in the flood or be swept away, further deepening the blow to households. These impacts ripple into market supply and demand, affecting food prices and even shaking the livelihood networks of the entire region. To cope with such risks, local farmers have begun exploring new methods, trying flood-resistant crop varieties, raising farmland above typical water levels, or adjusting planting and harvesting times. These seemingly small changes are the result of wisdom accumulated through years of battling nature. Floods not only change lives but also reshape nature. River channels may be forced to change course, hillsides can collapse and erode, and lake water may overflow into areas that were once dry. The mud, debris, and pollutants carried by floodwaters can flow into freshwater systems, threatening water quality and aquatic life. Stagnant water can also become a breeding ground for mosquitoes, adding further public health risks. These disasters serve as a reminder that the delicate balance between human settlements and nature can be broken in just a few hours. To reduce the damage caused by floods, authorities in Hubei have adopted multiple measures, including building reservoirs, dams, and levees to regulate water flow, as well as using monitoring and early warning systems to alert high-risk areas in advance. Emergency forces act immediately to organize evacuations, distribute supplies, repair infrastructure, and help restore basic living order. Yet the most powerful responses often happen within communities. Some use their own boats to ferry neighbors, school playgrounds turn into shelters, and volunteers work through the night to move supplies. Technology is important, but courage, mutual aid, and solidarity are the most precious forces during floods. Over the years, the people of Hubei have learned to live with water, raising house foundations, building flood-resistant structures, and adjusting farming schedules to match rainy season patterns. Communities also regularly organize flood prevention drills and public education to ensure residents know how to act when floodwaters arrive. Even when disasters strike repeatedly, life must go on. Children study in makeshift classrooms, families rebuild homes destroyed by floods, and small business owners and farmers explore new ways to reduce risks. These experiences and stories showcase the resilience and wisdom Hubei has accumulated through storms and hardship, a strength to adapt in the face of impact and to rebuild after setbacks. If you have been moved by this story about the floods in Hubei, please give it a like, subscribe for more stories from around the world, and feel free to share your experiences in the comments. We would also like to know how your community faces natural disasters. Remember, even in the toughest days, human courage and solidarity still shine brightly. Thank you for watching. If you found today's content helpful, please like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss future disaster reports. Some footage is for illustrative purposes only and not from the actual scene. See you in the next episode, stay tuned, and stay safe.